Let's get into Shawn Williams and what's been going on with him. The jury finds Shawn Williams guilty of escape from his van, not guilty of attempted escape from his jail, according to WJHL. A jury delivered a split verdict in former Johnson City business owner Shawn Williams' federal trial on two escape-related counts in U.S. District Court Friday. Jurors pronounced Williams not guilty of an alleged attempt escape from the Washington County Detention Center on July 23, 2023, but they found him guilty on a separate count of escape from an incident on October 18, 2023, when Williams escaped from a prison transport van that was bringing him to a federal court hearing in Greenville. The verdict came on trial's fourth day. Williams, 52, faces a maximum of 5 years imprisonment on the count on which he was found guilty. David Jolly, U.S. Marshal for the Eastern District of Tennessee, expressed pleasure at the result. He says, "I'm very pleased the Williams was found guilty of the escape from the Laurel County Correction Transport van," Jolly said in a statement. Deputy U.S. Marshal and a number of other law enforcement officers did great work and spent a lot of hours working to get him back into custody. Williams was en route from the Laurel County, Kentucky jail to a federal court hearing in Greenville when he managed to escape as the van reached Greenville. He was at large for more than a month before being captured in Pinellas County, Florida on November 21st, 2023, where he was trying to get a hot dog at the 7-Eleven, and one of the viewers recognized him and called law enforcement. Judge Ronnie Greer, who often clashes with Williams, as Williams represented himself and frequently violated courtroom procedures, set sentencing for November 18th. Started the trial that prosecutors must provide the following beyond a reasonable doubt in order to convict Williams: that Williams was legitimately in federal custody, that he'd been arrested on a felony charge leading to the custody when each incident occurred, that in the case of the actual escape, he knowingly and voluntarily left custody without permission, that in an attempt case, he committed an overt act that was a substantial step toward leaving custody without permission, and that he knew his actions could result in his leaving without permission. Prosecutors insisted during closing arguments that a journal found in Williams' cell at Washington County included evidence that he had made overt acts that met the standards for being substantial steps towards an escape. Greg Bowman tried to press home that multiple parts of Williams' journal should be acceptable proof that he took at least one substantial step toward escaping. He argued that Williams had checked off items that could be argued as preparing for an escape. He was caught relatively early in his attempt, Bowman said. Even so, he had done numerous things checked off in his journal as he went. There are multiple substantial steps towards his attempt to escape. Williams suggested any such arguments weren't enough. He had said Thursday the journals were nothing more than an example of him exercising his right to free speech. Hopes, dreams, lists about codes and Jolly Ranchers does not make a substantial step, nor does passing Pop-Tarts cell to cell, he said. Williams was referencing various elements of the recovered journal that prosecutors had tried to paint as sufficient evidence to convict. The journal had included entries from Williams about plans to escape, how to stay at large afterwards, and how to communicate with people outside of the jail using a code. After after deliberating for roughly 90 minutes, the jury took Williams' side in that argument. During his short closing arguments, William drew a sharp distinction between the escape count, which he made little effort to defend, even going so far as to admit he escaped, and the attempt count. Williams, who faces much more serious charges related to child production and a trial scheduled to begin August 27th, told jurors why he put so much effort into this one relatively petty charge. That comment came after Williams began to repeat assertions and hints that he has somehow been the victim of retaliation for helping to expose alleged corruption in the Johnson City Police Department. That claim is also at the root of a civil lawsuit filed a year ago against the city of Johnson City on behalf of multiple alleged R victims of Williams. Department essentially enabled Williams to conduct an S trafficking operation, allegedly drugging and R-ing dozens of women when he lived in downtown Johnson City apartment. He accuses police of looking the other way, and in some cases benefiting financially for doing so. Johnson City has denied all claims in the suit, which is currently scheduled to go to trial in the spring of 2025. Williams made several efforts during the trial to raise the issue of corruption, but that topic had been ruled inadmissible before the trial, and each time he was shut down before saying much. The same thing happened as he began approaching the subject during closing arguments, which court procedure requires to center around the case being tried. I'm singled out for a reason, Williams said, referencing the fact that he was even charged with attempted escape at a jail less than 10 miles from Johnson City. Mr. Bowman is probably sitting on the edge of his seat waiting to pounce on the inadmissible comments. In fact, prosecutors had offered Williams a plea deal in which they would have dropped the attempted escape count. He rejected it based on their condition that he not be allowed to access any investigative materials from either case, including those normally subject to the Freedom of Information Act. He didn't get far, but said that his efforts to fight a charge the state had offered to drop came because I believe in the principle. While several federal civil cases are pending against Johnson City that relate to Williams, the alleged victim's case has revealed that at least at one point, the U.S. government had begun investigating allegations of public corruption at the JCPD. The status of that investigation, including whether it has concluded, has not been made public. Williams made little effort to defend his second charge. The trial was the first of at least three federal cases against Williams, with the most severe being three separate counts of inducing a minor to engage in S explicit conduct for the purpose of producing child P. William also faces multiple state counts of R and SA on children in Washington County, and he is suspected of drugging and Ring dozens of Rs of adult women and filming and photographing those assaults when he just lived in downtown Johnson City. With former Johnson City business owner Shawn Williams, federal trial on production of child P related charges just weeks away. Recently filed court documents revealed the alleged serial R is now suspected of essaying up to at least 67 different women and children. The information comes from an affidavit filed in a federal civil lawsuit by Mike Little, an investigator with the First Judicial District Attorney General's Office. Little has been investigating digital evidence allegedly recovered when Williams was arrested on drug charges in Silva, North Carolina on April 30th of 2023. I have discovered a total of approximately 67 individuals who have either been confirmed as being or were likely to have been victims of SA by Shawn Williams, Little wrote in his July 16th affidavit. The document increases by 15 the number of known alleged victims or likely victims. It was filed by plaintiffs in a suit against the city of Johnson City and several current and former Johnson City Police Department officers. One of several lawsuits against the city surrounding Williams. This one alleges that Johnson City Police Department either corruptly, so or otherwise, failed to properly investigate allegations against Williams around 2019 all the way up to 2020-21. Johnson City has denied all claims in the federal lawsuit, which now total three. Williams hasn't been criminally charged in any R's of adult women, but he does face separate state and federal counts related to three alleged incidents involving crimes against children. As U.S. District Judge Ronnie Greer described the three upcoming federal counts in Williams' escape trial last week as inducing a minor to engage in explicit conduct for the purpose of producing child P. The trial on those three counts is scheduled to start August 27th. If convicted, Williams faces, at a minimum, 15 years in prison and at a maximum, 30 years on each count. Authorities in North Carolina allegedly seized digital storage devices, including thumb drives, from Williams when they arrested him. They reportedly discovered folders with video and still image files showing multiple essays against apparently drugged victims by Williams in his downtown Johnson City apartment. Little has been investigating the evidence since North Carolina authorities provided it to the DA's office on May 22nd, 2023, the affidavit reads. Little filed a search warrant affidavit in June of 2023 that indicated files allegedly showing at least 52 different victims. News Channel 11 first revealed the specific scope of Williams' alleged essay in a story that ran for several weeks before his September 2023 indictments on the federal Child P charges and simultaneous state charges of Child R and Child SA. Little's initial June 2023 affidavit also noted that Johnson City Police Department itself had seized computers and other digital evidence during the search of Williams' apartment in September of 2020. Police were investigating Michaela Evans' fall from his fifth floor apartment at that time. Despite the urging of Assistant U.S. Attorney Kat Dahl, the Johnson City Police Department elected not to search Williams' computer files in late 2020. Transcripts of a meeting with then Johnson City Police Department Chief Carl Turner and Captain Kevin Peters that Dahl recorded on December 8, 2020, shows her expressing concerns whether or not this would be the type of individual to have, like, child P on his computer, Dahl said in the transcript. If somebody can find the nexus for us to get the search warrant for the computer, hey, I'm more than willing to do it, Peters responded. In the end, Williams' computer and digital equipment seized by Johnson City Police Department was not ever reviewed by them. Turner elected not to renew the annual contract through which Dahl worked with Johnson City Police Department to help bring certain drugs and weapon cases federal, where they often yield longer prison sentences. She also sued the city, claiming that dismissal was in retaliation for her efforts to push police to more aggressively investigate Williams. Little's affidavit was part of a filing by attorneys representing multiple alleged victims. Defense attorneys for police have sought to depose three alleged victims and interview them formally. They've claimed the women have provided conflicting accounts related to Williams, their interactions with police, and other matters. Lawyers for the women in question say they're now part of a proposed class action suit in which they won't be class representatives and therefore won't be subject to being called as witnesses. The lawyers also argue that depositions of other alleged Williams victims had needlessly re traumatized them, and that the information defense attorneys say they need from the other women could be obtained by less invasive means than through depositions. Williams, who was convicted of escape in federal court Friday, has also attempted to raise allegations of the Johnson City Police Department corruption. His efforts to do so at his recent trial, where he represented himself, were quickly shut down as the topic had been ruled irrelevant to the escape charge and inadmissible in the trial. I'm going to keep following the Shawn Williams trial because he may have information that can lead us to Summer Wells. And since Shawn Williams wants to discuss the corruption of the Johnson City Police Department. I'm going to reach out to him and provide him a platform to tell us all about it. Until next time, you guys. See you then.